picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Good morning, everybody. It's week 2 on the second shuttle pod, the travel pod travel pod Deux, part 2. And I'm working on the lighting. Jump in here first thing and start working on the lighting on the interior. And if I can maybe pull the camera around, we can see what we have got. I've got the lighting done for the interior, for the for the ceiling at least. Let me tip this back ever so gently, and you can see the light coming through, maybe even too much. Now I know Elliot had mentioned that he thought it was kind of dark in there, but really, if it's an inspection pod or a travel pod, you would kind of want dim lights, and I think in the movie itself the lighting was rather dim inside the pod, but I like this. This will work. And of course the secret to making that work is to put the lighting strips on the inside of the outer wall. Let me set the camera down and we can further discuss that. And here you can see I've got the lights taped down to the inside of the wall. I'm trying to keep them from blowing out the camera, but by taping them to the inside of the wall, the outside wall, you make best use of this space, because about a ½ inch of space between the inner cabin and the outer cabin, and you can make the best of that. The further away your light is from your opening, the more diffused it is. So if you look at it like this, you can see that it's actually a ½ inch or so away from the opening. But this will also allow me to kind of maybe move that up a bit, and you can figure out where the best it's going to hit. But yeah, now I'm going to put some little lighting in the back consoles here, and then if that's all there is to it, then I should be able to well, I have to take this back off here. Kill these lights. Kill the lights. Kill them. Okay, move that off of there. If I can get, well, when I get these consoles, these back consoles lit up, then I can glue let's move the outer tub out of the way. I can glue the top and bottom down and maybe put, I gotta get this front console lit, and then, you know, it's always a big debate, because you can really wait to where you want to have this light in first, so you want to see where this light is shining, so that you can position Scotty and Kirk and get them in the best key lighting. So yeah, I may be better off gluing those guys down before I close the top and the bottom consoles together. All of the lighting can be handled in the lower half of this inner chamber. Sorry, I'm trying to balance too many things at one time. Get these consoles lit up, get the decals on them, get the front console lit up, get the decal on that, and then get Scotty and Kirk finished and glued down. And then I can kind of set this to the side while I am working. I get the back wall on here, and then I can kind of get these set off while I'm working on the lighting for the outer shell. Alrighty, I've got the side panel, the front, I guess that would be the starboard computer panel lit up, ready for decals. Don't mind this, we don't care. It's going to be hitting the back door is going to be sitting on it like that, so we don't care. But we've got 2 SM LEDs on that side, and I'm going to be doing the same over here with 2 more on this side. Well, it has been a while since I've done this kind of lighting, and I have forgotten how much longer it takes than I thought. I've spent a good chunk of the day just getting these guys lit, and you know, they're done and everyone's happy, but it did take a bit of time. Block the top of that off. And again, you're not going to see anything that happens on this side because this is going to be in front of it. So yeah, that's going to be nice. Okay, I'm working on this front panel, and I'm probably thinking about this too much. I think I'm overanalyzing it. There's two ways to go, really. Let me see, make sure this is on camera. There are two ways to go. One way, let's tilt the camera up like this. There we go. One way is to put the face of the panel underneath like that, which gives you this hood over top of it. Now the benefit to that is when you attach everything from the bottom. The other way to go is to make that panel look like that across the front. And the benefit to that is that gives me more room to put the light in there, because I'm remembering the problem that we were going to have of space, because all of this front lighting is going to be smacking up underneath where these where this gauge or the screen wants to go. See, all of my backlighting for this is going to be in that area, so I could use the room. Here's the kicker of it, is you're not going to see a ton of it, because by the time you get the lid on it, the only time you're ever going to see that gauge is if you're looking straight down on it, and even then you're not going to see too much of it. The more important function of that gauge, or that cluster of instruments right there, is the light that it's going to kick back up onto Scotty and Kirk's faces. Making sure this is going to fit where it needs to fit. Yes. Is that wiring in the way? You know, you take the one thing of wiring, and that, wouldn't you know, that's right where it wants to be. Okay, so that's going to fit up against like that. There. That's going to fit like that. And it just does not give me a whole ton of room under there. The nice thing is I could actually use the backlighting, you know, the light spill from that front thing. I could use that to light this little gauge. But is that going to be enough to light up Kirk and Spock? I don't know. I keep saying Kirk and Spock, Kirk and Scotty. I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the decal straight underneath here and rely on the backfill of that lighting to light up their faces. I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I've taken the decals for the instruments, and I've taken them off of the, well, I've stuck them onto some white, very thin white sheet styrene, and now I'll glue those in place on the kit. The colors certainly look better now than they did when they were on the blue sheet. They had that blue backing, and you really couldn't see how vibrant the colors were. But it did make me glad that I did that, because obviously this one here needs to be black and white, and there is no white printed here. So sticking that on a piece of white material. Now these aren't accounted for in the backing material, or the clear piece that's printed for the diffusers for all of the lights and such. Keith did not put anything. He did for this one, for this main one, but not for the smaller ones. So having been left to my own devices, I figured it was just easier to put it on the thinnest sheet styrene that I have, and then once these are dry, I will cut them out and glue them down onto the consoles where they go. And it's been a long day. It's coming up on 4 o'clock, and I've been working at this since about 10 this morning, or 9:30. So yeah, it's been a very productive day, but also tiring. So I think this is a good place to let this sit. I've just gone around and drilled out the holes for the fiber optics for the maneuvering thrusters. It's not all great news, mostly good news. I got these guys drilled out, these guys, this. The only ones I can't seem to get is I don't think I'm going to be able to get the ones that go up in the corners here because of how everything goes together. It's going to kind of overlap, and it doesn't have the painted indent on the back panel. So I think we're going to have to live with top and side, but not back. And you know, if that's what we have to do, I'm not going to lose sleep over that. I think that'll be fine. I think if I can do a good enough job lighting up this ring, like so, and then getting the light to shine behind that, to shine all over that, then I think that may be enough to live with. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday and I'm back at it on the travel pod. I've been chasing myself around in circles today, working on Scotty and Kirk, and it's one of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. I am having a devil of a time with the Admiral's face, and it is it's weird. It's at that strange size. You know, if it was any smaller, you could ignore some details, but if it's any bigger, you would be easier to paint. So at this point, it's just like I need to put the eyebrows in. They're obvious at this stage, but it's difficult to do at this stage. I somehow managed to get Scotty okay. I'm about to the point where, yeah, you better stop on him. But Kirk is giving me all kinds of bedevilment here. I'm going to see if I can. This is detail you may never see. Let me get the old goggles on. This may be detail you may never see, but I think I want to try to do the highlights on the belt pack here. I can get that in camera. What do you know? Not so bad. It helps if the detail is sculpted in very well, and these ones are. The detail on this is pretty well sculpted in. Now, I won't say much for the particular likenesses. I mean, it doesn't look much like James doing, but you can see that there's an eye and a mustache and things like that. You can see that stuff is supposed to be there. Let's see if I can touch that up just a wee bit. Went a little bit overboard there. There you go. Okay, that cleaned it up a little bit. Now we're going to do the same on Kirk's here. I'm going to try to put his eyebrows back in for like the millionth time. Excuse me. I can live with that. Okay, we're going to give the characters a break now, and I'm going to get back onto this inner tub. Now, last night I glued down these panels, ended up putting the decals down on a piece of really thin white sheet styrene and glued it, or decaled them to that, and then cut those out and put them on here rather than putting the decals straight on here, so we had that white backing for everything. And when you put the lights through it, that's, you know, it's a mixed bag, because the blacks on these decals are not really true blacks, so you're not going to get a complete light blocking black. Now what you're seeing up here is an ugliness that hopefully it will go away over time, because basically what I did was I put that decal and the piece in, and then I just covered it with canopy glue, hoping it would eventually make a clear surface over top of the decal. And that's been drying all night, so we're gonna let that go, and maybe in a week or two it'll all be dry. So that, but again, when you put a light through it, it does the job. So what we need to do, oh, also last night, whilst I was doing other things, I went ahead and I painted in the strip around the, let's go ahead and pull these apart, the strip for the inspection lights. Painted that, and I'm ready to put the diffusers in behind those, because that's really the next step. And then what we've got to do is we've got to map out where these lights are going to be affected by the tub inside, and I'm going to end up, I believe I'm going to end up, it's just going to be easier, I think, if I go ahead and put the lights on the inside of the tub and let them shine out that way than it is if I try to put them right up against the diffuser. I think it's going to give me a much more subtle light that way. So it's just a question of doing that, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do that for the front lights. And then the last thing I did last night was to go ahead and drill out the holes for the fiber optics for these thruster lights, and I can thread those in and see how they're going to be kind of all ganged up. I don't know how many LEDs I'm going to gang those up to, but not too many. They won't all go to one, that's just ridiculous, but we can maybe put all of these bottom ones on a single LED, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's where we're at. So let's just pick a subject and get to it. I've got like 9 different areas I could be working on, and I've realized that when I do that, I end up getting distracted and not finishing any of them all the way through. So maybe what I need to do is just pick one and take it all the way through. Like I could seriously glue that on. Although I'm wondering if I want to do the top, put the top on and then glue the back on as the last step, or do I want to go ahead and glue the back on now? Can I still put the top on is an issue. If I do this, can I still? Well, yes, I certainly can. So let's go ahead and get that bottom, get the back wall glued in. Okay, I think the time is right. I think I am done fussing and fighting, my friend. I am done fussing and fighting with Kirk and Scotty, and I am willing to glue them down in the proper places where they go. And yeah, I'm taking one last look at Kirk. He's got a bit of a surprised look on his face, but then again, he was completely smitten in love with his brand new starship, so we can forgive that. And once this is done, then that's the last step towards gluing up the top and the bottom of the interior cabin, for better or for worse, and then the serious work can begin on the outside. So yes, I'm stalling. I'm cleaning off my glue bottle and all the stuff that you do when you are stalling a major bit of assembly. So we're going to put the glue on the shoe, and I'm going to try to avoid moving him around too many times, because I don't want to make a glue spot on the ground. And that's where Scotty's going to stand. And it would be nice, I mean, that's something to think about in a future version of this kit. Would you put pegs in the floor to position these two guys? Or do you leave that to the modeler? Okay, that's where we're going to leave those guys sit. And I need to go vote. It's Tuesday, it's primary day in North Carolina, and I'm going to go vote. The only thing keeping me from putting this town on here and gluing it in is my own hesitance to do it, because everything else is pretty much ready. So let's get it in camera here. There we go. Camera slides down sometimes. Yeah, I think we're ready to go ahead and close this up since I've got my epoxy out. And then we can close it down, tape it off, and make it a finished thing. Okay, those big fiber optics were a big fat bust. I could not get them out of the way. You would think this was plenty of room to sit this base on it, but it is not. So those had to go. I'm gonna see about putting just regular little old LEDs right in front of those holes there. I still have the holes. We'll see what we can do to get some light to come out of those. But there's enough futzing around. You'll notice I still don't have the ceiling glued to the bottom of this base, and the very good reason for that is I want to light block along the tops of these. I was getting a little bit of spill, so now that that's been done, I can finish my day with closing up the inside module, the inside. And I also went ahead and took the example of what I did on the inside, and I went ahead and glued that in, epoxied it in. That may or may not be a mistake. We'll find out together. But let's go ahead and finish up for today by gluing this top down to the inside, and that way we can complete our inner cabin. Okay, I'm running a little bit late this evening because I was in the middle of doing all of this and I really didn't want to stop. I've had very few successes today. I've had to back up and rethink the fiber optics. So when I got to where this was starting to work, I definitely kept going. So yeah, I should have stopped a couple of hours ago. But as I said, it's working, and it involves scrap. Well, let me take this apart. Hold on. Okay, as I was saying, it involves scratch building a little shelf here that I could put in front of these. Now, I'm sorry about the glare. That I could make that fit right in here, because this area, even though you look at that and you think, oh, look at all that area you've got, it comes at that angle. When it hits that angle, that's when you start running into problems. So making something that would fit in that ever more constricted area is a tricky thing. And then here are the diffusers that need to go in there. And it does work. Of course, the camera is going to make the bulbs look a little more sourcey than they actually are. Pull this back out. But that I would consider that much as a success. And then we've got two more segments on either side here for the side opening, the side lights. And I'm looking, of course, there goes the compressor again. There's another segment of the lights, and it needs to be just a real short one that goes right back here. Yeah, I'm not going to try adding that on tonight, but by gum and by golly, I think we're in good shape. Good morning, everybody. We're back at it. It's Wednesday, and I won't say yesterday was a wasted day. It was a non-productive day. I spent a long time going down a road that went nowhere. So we're going to try to make up for that. Now, it did give me a straighter and better idea of how to proceed today. So we are going to take advantage of that, and hopefully we will get back on track. I went a long way down the fiber optic road yesterday. That was a waste of time, turned out. So what I've done is I've scraped out all of the fiber optics and the glue and all of that. And for these little maneuvering thrusters, I'm just going to do something simple like this. See, that's all I want to do, is put a little light behind it. I'm still going to use the holes from the fiber optics. I'm still going to block those with a little bit of tape so that I can paint around those. But I'm basically just going to put a light behind it. simplest. It's remedial lighting. It is lighting 101. It is not even 101. It is right up next to Og discovering fire. It is the simplest way to do it. It's what I should have done to start with. The other good thing that happened yesterday was I was able to refine this shape. And basically this is just the horseshoe that goes up in front to light up all of the front lights. So we like that. What I'm going to do is carry that idea back to do the side pockets. And then that's everything, believe it or not. I'm not going to put a strobe down here because even though there is one and it would sit about there, it's right where the post would come out. So there's no sense putting a strobe there. What I am going to do is I have to light up these blinkies here on the sides. And I have to get those, at least get the wiring in place for them. I'm going to hook up Ralph's circuit to do the actual work on that, to do the blinks and the strobe. I am going to put a strobe on the top, even though it's conjecture that strobe exists. It's certainly molded in on the part. It makes all the logical sense in the world, but in the flyby sequence you don't actually see a strobe at the top. You see a strobe at the bottom, but you never see a strobe at the top. I'm putting a strobe at the top. It should be there. That's the hill I'm going to die on. So I'm going to put that strobe in. That's going to be in the top section, which you don't see here. First job is going to be to get this guy secured in with the side pockets and the navigation blinkies. That should be a good goal. And then if that all works, we should be able to sink this in. I have started, you may have noticed, I have started the white painting. I painted this white. That's a base coat of white primer, and I've got the black. That brings me up to another point. I tried using the supplied kit parts for the diffuser here. Keith has made these so tight and so tolerant that I screwed them up. So I emailed Keith and said, people better than me may be able to make do with that, but would you mind bumping these up a little fatter? And I think he's going to do that. He's going to make them a little bit bigger. So in the meantime, I'm just going to cut some thin sheet styrene and replace them like that. What I need is just a little bit more overhang than what's provided. So we'll get those in. We'll get these frames in. We may be able to get to a point today where we can sink the inner tub into the... if we can get all of that done, that would be a tremendous thing. I'm happy to report I got a win. I needed a win today, and I got a win. This is all of the horseshoe lighting in place. I made these individual light boxes. I could have done one big stripe there, but getting one box fitting in there is iffy at best. So if I can get 3 boxes and the interior still fits in, then we're doing good. I need to do some tape. See, I don't see any light bleed coming in on the inside. So our walls are thick enough or painted enough or whatever. But now that I know that works, I can kind of epoxy everything in place and go to lunch. I need to take a break. Fumble, fumble, fumble. And here we go. We've got Ralph's circuit board in running the navs, both the red and the green, and I couldn't be happier with them. That's looking wonderful. I've got the horseshoes all stuck in and epoxied, and they're not going anywhere. The next step is to put the yellow chip lights down in the corners where the red fern grows, down in the corners where the nav lights are going to go. And God willing, we may be able to put the tub in today. No, I still need to figure out exactly how I'm going to do the docking ring. I think I'm only going to do the one light in the center that shines down. I don't think I'm going to try to do the side lights. So if I do that, then I'll be ready to put the tub in. But yeah, I'm very happy with the side lights. This was a nice upgrade that Keith has made. These are cast, or I guess they're cast resin. They weren't printed. Those were cast resin pieces that are colored already, but I put colored bulbs in there to begin with because I had them and I like colored bulbs when I can use them. And the hits just keep on coming. Got the turn the overhead off. I've got the thruster lights in. Yay! And they seem to be working just fine. Let's see if I can turn this thing over without shorting anything out or causing too much horror. But there you go. You can see them there in the corner, the other corner. This is going tremendously well today. So I think the last thing to do is to, well, not last, I got plenty of time. The last thing I need to do is to get all this cleaned up and secured down and have a single set of contact wires coming out so that I can start joining up my circuits. Yeah, I could tape all of these down to the floor because this wiring is less than the height of these risers, so I can put all this under the floor. We have strobe. It's a little bit long, it will need to be cut off, but I'm finally using a bit of fiber optic, believe it or not. I can do that inside the shadow there, you can see. But we have a strobe. We've got the side lights doing their blinky blinky. We're almost ready to sink the tub in. And I think one last thing to do would be to wire up everything that we've got. I've got 3 different circuits going on inside there that I need to join up. One is the big observation lights. One is the thrusters around the floor, and the third one is the interior lights. I also 4 because I also have the Ralph circuit. Whew. Try all those out, and then we might be ready to sink this in. We won't be able to put this down for a long while, but we can get the maybe get the cabin sunk into the floor tonight. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend, and I had a bit of a setback yesterday. I was preparing to put the interior cabin into the shell and seal it up, and I did one last light check with everything on it, and I still saw some light bleeds around these consoles that I didn't care for. And while it was still possible to get to them, I decided it was better that I try to do that thing. So I took the back off. Luckily, I had not put a lot of glue on it, hardly any, just tacking it, which allowed me to get to it. So today I'm going to pop this back on, and you know what? I think I'm just going to tape it in place with the aluminum, with the silver tape, and I don't think we really need to glue it, just in case. I know it's not going to be easy to get to. Oh, you'll be happy to know that 3 days later, that glue, the canopy glue, has mostly gone clear around that console. So any day now it'll be done. Let's see. Yeah, let's glue that back on, and then we should... Oh, I also took the opportunity this morning to put a coat of the Insignia white on the outside shell parts. So now I think we are ready finally to sink this in. Oh, one thing I need to do, and I need to do that fairly toot sweet, is to run my main power, because once I glue this cabin down, I am not going to be able to feed that main wire that's going to go down the post and then, you know, out the lazy river into the base. Already, take one last look at the interior tub here, because I think we are ready to sink the cabin into it. I'm going to be putting oh so much 1 minute epoxy, generous amounts, all over this platform here, because I'm not going to know exactly which part of this is making contact. So I'm going to cover everything I think is going to be in this area. And then we're going to scooch it under the wiring, and it's going to go like that. I've got all of the wiring that needs to be underneath it kind of taped down. And then it's going to sit just like this. And then I'm going to push it down and hold it like that until it seals. So time to crank out the old 1 minute epoxy and say some prayers. Alright, the tub is in. It's curing. I've taped down and taped over some of the wiring to kind of nail it down. The next step I'm pondering is how to join the top. Now, the top has the strobe, which needs to be wired into Ralph's circuit there. It has the side lights here that I have to attach that are going to shine into the sides there. And it's got the navigation little yellow LEDs like I put in yesterday here. All of that, well, all of that except for the strobe, needs to come down to 2 wires which I can attach here. So I've got that lighting, and I've got the one last light that goes over top of the entrance to the airlock to figure out. That the airlock light is going to be a white or a cool white SMLED. That needs to be sandwiched in right in this gap right in here. It needs to be put in there so that it shines down through the top there. And then this insert gets put in place. There's actually a nice spot here if I wanted to glue it to that. That would work. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Actually, no. What I need to do is I need to paint this final color. Paint this the final color, which I'm going to make just your basic utility gray. Let's see. Yeah, this is where I'm just pondering the next steps, and then I need to make the 2 wires go to that so that I can do this in one swift motion and nail it down. Now, of course, the main thing that's going to impede all that is I've also got to put the main window in. That has to go in from the inside. So that is going to be the last bit of, because I want to keep that clean. So let's move this inner pod. Let's move this off the stage. Get it off of my plate so that it is not distracting me, and move that out way, and I can work on nothing but getting these lights and that window in. Okay, the lighting is going fairly smoothly today. I am trying not to jinx myself, and I know I'm risking it just by turning the camera on and pointing it at it, that it's going to continue that way. But I've got the 2 back lights in here, 2 front lights up there, and now I'm going to put the side strips in so that I can backlight the inside cabin. So this is going to go in something like that. Going to solder a wire down to it, join it to all of these, and then I'll have the last bits of wire that go out and join up with the lower half. And then the last step will be to put the front window in. Boy, things are picking up speed now. You can fuss and fight and put off things, and then all of a sudden everything starts happening all at once. And I'm just laying in these extra layers of protection and light blocking, because you never know where the light spill is going to come until sometimes it's too late to do anything about it, and then you're stuck with having to lay many coats of paint on the outside, which is not something that you may want to do. So if I can put a thin layer of protection on the inside, I'm certainly going to do that. But yeah, let's I'm also swapped out that thicker Cat 5 wiring for the thin 28 gauge, just because it takes less space, and at this point space is a premium. Alrighty, I've got all the lighting into the top lid that needs to go in here. Let me hook up the juice to it so you can see it. Now this is the strobe which goes to Ralph's board. I won't be hooking that up to the rest because that would be dumb. But here is the side lights and the, wow, sorry about that. That's the side lighting and the yellow lights in the thrusters. So yay, we're all happy with that. And this is ready to be joined to the to the bottom half of the shuttle with one provision. I need to put this. I need to put the big old windshield in first, and I don't know if I'm ready for that, mentally or spiritually or logistically. I think I'd like to maybe hit this tape here with some black paint, just in case it ends up showing. I don't think it should, but you don't want to have put this down on there and then look up in the corner and see the edge of the silver tape. So I'm going to unplug the soldering iron because I'm done with that for a while, and I'm going to get the black paint out and do that inside. Okay, have I got a story to tell? It's Thursday evening. I have, after much trial, much tribulation, and I have the windshield in, but this is the third windshield. Thankfully, because of what's in the kit that Keith provides, I had an honest profile of what the windshield should look like. When I did my own last time, when I printed the one I did for myself, I think I used maybe the side of a soft drink 2-liter bottle. But here's something you should be aware of. These are sadly two-dimensional. They are two-dimensional sheet styrene. This is the one that actually comes with the kit. This is the one that gave me my sizing. But they will never fit a three-dimensional shape like this because it is a curve, but it is a compound curve. And you know what I say about the definition of doing the same thing, or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? Nah, I was quickly reminded why after the first and then after the second. You can get two angles of this to work, but you're never going to get it to fit around all four sides because this is a compound curve. Now, if you were, and this is maybe a helpful note to Keith out there if he wants to think about it, if you vacuformed this, you could get the shape closer to what you need. But this is a single plane here, and you can get that and it'll look good in profile, but it'll never conform to the bevel this way. So the best way around that is to either ignore it, which I am prone to do, or try to fill it with something, which I don't think I want to try. I would fill it with some sort of liquid that would cure and make a gasket around that. First thing I had to do was a lesson learned from the Aries, which goes to show you all modeling is trial and error. All modeling is almost all problems that you have with other models, you can learn something, and they're all learning experiences. And the first thing I learned was to take a piece of that real fine tube stock and build up this lip, because the clear window wants to sit in a lip behind the opening here, and I had to increase the size of that lip, not only to give me more fudge factor on the windows, but also just to give it a neater, cleaner finish, because there was nothing for it to rest on really, and just that extra bit of difference was all that it took to give the plastic something to sit against. And there is no glue on the bottom edge here. I was only actually able to push it into place and tape it down, and that's all that's holding it in place. So these sides are both dammed up, so I'm wondering if I should just press my luck and leave it alone for what it is, or try to fill this in with some sort of liquid cement that would harden, for lack of a better term. That would put it into either a very thin epoxy, or certainly not a CA, but a very thin epoxy or a JB Weld or something. But I don't want to mess up how clean that is, so I'm thinking maybe I'll just leave it. I don't know. It's not hurting anybody. But there's really nothing you can do to get it to bow out like that. So, having solved that bit and having it taken all day to do, tomorrow I think I am ready to join the top and the bottom. And then that will finish out the week, and then next week will be all about painting. So I'm not above dropping this. I'm not above letting this sit overnight. I think what I might want to do is just touch this edge here with a little bit of putty, just to help hide that little bit of round rod there. So yeah, it took all day, and it was a heartbreaking thing, but I finally realized there's just no way to get that to happen. So, Keith, if you're out there listening, you may want to consider vacuum forming the whole windshield as one piece. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week, and you can tell something is up because I am outside, and that something is that I've got no electricity. I got no power, Captain. I cannot do it. The thing is, I woke up this morning, there was no power. I woke up to the fact that there was no power. Then it came back on for a few hours, and I was able to get some of my morning chores done. And then it just went out again. And I know there was a big storm that blew through last night, and because the rain woke me up. And I figured there's a tree on a line somewhere, they did a quick repair, and now they are shutting the power down so that they can solidify their repair. That's what I'm hoping. And until it comes back on, there's not really anything I could do. My goal for today is to get the top of the pod glued down and puttied, and then we'll be painting next week to finish that up. And if that all goes well, we should still be able to take it to the Festive Wonder. So we're just going to play it as it lays for right now. I'm going to see if there's anything I can do outside here. Maybe I can bring it outside, and I want to glue the docking ring on. Maybe I can do that. But really, the last thing to do is to finish soldering, which I can't do without power, and then attach the top of the shell. So we're going to have an adventurous day and see where it takes us. Well, huzzah, that didn't last very long. We're back in business. Now, as I was saying, what I need to do at this point is glue this onto there, and then we can finish soldering the last connections together. And I want to do that forthwith, just in case the power wants to go iffy again. So I don't want to lollygag. I want to strike while the iron is while the soldering iron is hot. All right, for better or for worse, we are ready to close up, and there is reason to believe both ends of that spectrum. So the last thing to do really would be to put a liberal amount of epoxy around the perimeter and then just mush the whole thing together. Wish me luck. There we go, all bound up in yellow tape. I put 15-minute epoxy on it this time. I find that the slower acting epoxies, not only to give you more time to work things around and get them situated and get the tape out and get everything mushed together and all that, and more time to apply it, but also they have a tendency, I think, I may be mistaken, but at least it seems to me that they set up harder than the fast epoxies. So we're going to let that sit, and then for our last trick of the day, we will remove all the tape and light it up and show you what it looks like. Now I've got tape over the main windshield here to keep it clean, so we're not going to be seeing the end of that. We're not going to be seeing back in there until I'm done painting next week. But this is going to give me a nice, good line to, now that this has been epoxied, I can apply any putty that I might need to. And that would probably happen over the weekend as well, because time is of the essence. I can't afford to take no time off. And we're going to let that sit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to end it for this week. I've got the tape taken back off. There's not a lot to paint on this back. If you look at the clips, the back door is very, very clean. So there's not a lot to paint there, which is good. But here we go. We've got lights, 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 big light. We've got red lights. We've got lights up front. We've got more lights up top for the big front light. We got strobe going on up here. Here we've got more lights, green on this side, red light, and again this long strip. Everything is happening. Now what you can't see is anything that's happening inside, because I've got the insides taped off. We're going to let that sit for a bit. Now all of this is ready for paint. And that's what we're going to be doing next week. There's a little bit of sanding here, clean up that seam. We're going to let that sit. I'm going to take care of that over the weekend so that Monday we can hit the ground running on the paint, the exterior paint job here, which, as I'm saying, is well underway. The decaling is more what I'm scared about than anything else, and then of course we have to wire up the base. But yeah, much happier with this one all around. And yeah, you could say that even when that's off, that those are still, that they shouldn't be lit at all. But I'm happy with that. Outside of blacking those off, what I'm seeing is a lot of spill from around them, which is fine. And again, this light that's shining over the door, I'm also seeing spill from the side, which is what I want. So happy there. A little bit of light block to be done at the seams here, but these corners I am very happy with. So that's where we leave it for the week. Now this is when it comes time to glue this thing on its base. I'm going to have to set it in epoxy and hold it in position because it wants to lean. I think the peg hole that is going up into the ship, into the pod, isn't quite deep enough, and therefore allows this. Now this is awfully heavy too. Everything I've put into it has really weighted it down. But I'm much happier with the stability and the solidity of this kit than I ever was with the one that I printed. So good to go. I am going to put some additional blocking on either side of the post. On either side of the post at the bottom, just to keep this. I know there's what you're not seeing is the full color top. I'm protecting that, keeping it from getting scratched. But I know it's going to lend another layer of stability to this, but it's not going to hurt for me to put anything around the bottom of that as well. So we're good on that, and that's where we're going to let it be. And that is it for week deux on pod deux. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. Now I'll give you, it's today Friday, Wednesday and Thursday where I saw some dark days there, but we're happy with this so far. And the top went down like a charm, and that's all down to how well that Keith had put those locating pins in. Mwah! That's what I say as far as those locating pins. Perfect. And we are set well to finish this up. Paint next week, which means should be done in time for Wonderfest, because I got next week and then that's it. I'll do a video next week to finish this up. The week after is all Wonderfest prep, and there will be no video until after I get back from Wonderfest. So that's that's all I've got to say about that. So until next time, y'all be good to each other, be safe, be smart, and we'll see you here next time.